Good afternoon. Good technical issue with the Mayor's computer and the live streaming. So I apologise, there will be a slight delay of a few minutes while we get that repaired. So we will come online, we'll stay online in fact, but we'll commence the meeting in hopefully just a few short minutes. So please bear with us, councillors and any members of the public who might be watching.
I'm actually going right out, switch off, come back on. Well, good evening again, councillors. We've seemed to have resolved the issues with the Mayor's streaming, so the Mayor will be coming online in about 10 seconds, hopefully, and we will be able to commence the meeting very, very shortly. My apologies for that.
Hopefully Councillor Ripper will rejoin us. She's just left, I believe. I'll just check the mayor. I apologise, councillors. We're just logging the mayor on now.
Okay. Hello, councillors. Can you hear me and see me?
Thank you, Mayor. I can see you.
I do apologise. I'm having some technical difficulties, which is a good way to finish my term as mayor. So, welcome to our council meeting for the 19th of October 2021. And I do apologise again for my technical problems that I'm having. So firstly, of course, because we're meeting virtually, I need to complete the councillor roll call. So councillors, if you could, when I ask, could you please indicate that you can see me and hear me? Councillor Resheeting.
I can see you and hear you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillor Marr.
I can see and hear you, Mayor.
Councillor Bye.
Yes, Mayor, I can see and hear you.
Councillor Tatterson.
Yes, Mayor, I can see and hear you.
Councillor Wood.
Yes, Mayor, I can hear and see you.
Councillor Crosley.
Welcome back, Mayor. I can see and hear you.
Now, I know that Councillor Mackenzie was slightly delayed. Have we got? I can't see Councillor Ripper.
Councillor Ripper, Mayor, just logged out and logged back in with a computer issue, so she mightn't be far away.
So Councillor Ripper and I are both having the same problems, are we?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I think I'll proceed. At the moment, we will wait. I'll just keep going, and we'll see Councillor Mackenzie and Councillor Ripper soon. The next item I need to read is the council meeting information. So, due to ongoing COVID-19 restrictions, the Minister's Good Practice Guidelines MGPG1 virtual meetings issued by the Minister for Local Government continue to apply. Pursuant to Section 87 of the Local Government Act 2020, these guidelines ensure that local government decision-making can continue in line with COVID-19 restrictions, and further details can be found on the Local Government Victoria website. These guidelines took effect from the 1st of May 2020 and will remain in place through to the 26th of April 2022. While members of the public cannot attend this meeting in person, we have provided options for you to interact with us virtually via our council meetings page on the Wellington Shire Council website. You are able to interact with council in two ways. Email a specific question or comment relating to a particular council agenda item no later than 1 p.m. on the day of the council meeting, or for general questions to council via the online web form early in this meeting to ensure that your questions can be dealt with at the end of this meeting. While we maintain a virtual way of gathering, we thank you for your ongoing support. Next is the acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Gunai people, and pay respects to their elders, past and present. And now for the prayer. Almighty God, we ask your blessing upon the Wellington Shire Council, its councillors, officers, staff and their families. We pray for your guidance in our decisions so that the true good of the Wellington Shire Council may result in the benefit of all residents and community groups. Amen. Thank you. So we have now Councillor Ripper. I notice you're with us. So
I can, thank you, Mayor. I can hear you, Mayor, and I can see 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, I can see you.
Yes, thank you very much, Councillor Ripper. So, if in case you're wondering, I actually am using the CEO's computer at the moment because mine is seems to have decided to go to a better place. So, apologies for tonight. I don't believe we have any apologies. Councillor Mackenzie, I think, is still on his way to join us. The next item is declaration of conflicts of interest. I don't believe we have any declarations that I'm aware of for this evening. No, thank you. Next is confirmation of minutes of the previous council meeting. Can I have someone to move those, please?
Councillor Wood.
Thank you. Please proceed, Councillor Wood.
Excuse me. I move that council adopt the minutes and resolutions of the ordinary council meeting of the 5th of October 2021.
Happy to second, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Rossetti. Is there any opposition to that adoption of that recommendation? If not, I'll declare it carried. Councillor Wood?
Nothing more, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is business arising. From previous minutes, there isn't any business that I'm aware of. The next item is acceptance of late and urgent items.
I have an item there, Mayor.
Beg your pardon?
I have an item there.
Yes, thank you, thank you, Councillor Rossetti, I mean.
I move that council accept a late item, being item 16.4, full vaccination public facilities.
Thank you. Would someone like to second that recommendation? Councillor Bai, thank you very much. Is there any opposition to that recommendation to accept the late item? If not, I'll declare it carried and the late item has been received. Now, councillors,
would you like me to put that late item, Mayor?
Yes, you're happy to proceed with the late item at this stage of business. Thank you. Please proceed, Councillor Rossetti.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that council notes that 1, public facilities will be reopening to fully vaccinated patrons only, effective at 80% vaccination of the Victorian 16+ population, as required under the Victorian Government's reopening roadmap. And 2, the CEO and officers to advise members, users and other community members of this change through our various communication channels.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for that recommendation?
Happy to second that, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bai. Is there any opposition to the adoption of that recommendation? If not, I'll declare them carried. Councillor Rossetti.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a much better advising the community about what we've had to put in place under the Victorian Government roadmap. We, like many other facilities and businesses and the community, have certain requirements of what we're allowed to open or what we have to keep closed and what we need to do with restricting some people and allowing others into different venues. This is about once we get to the 80% vaccination trigger on or before the 5th of November, we are required to only allow entry to fully vaccinated people into council-operated public facilities, including places like the Port of Sale, the Wedge, Aqua Energy, Gippsland Regional Sports Complex, library branches, customer service centres, Gippsland Livestock Exchange and visitor centres. and all staff and volunteers working in our facilities will also be fully vaccinated. Now, of course, there are some who cannot be vaccinated who have a medical exemption. Of course, that's allowed for in the access, but it's completely under the council, the Victorian government's requirements. There'll be multiple views around the community about whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. We're not here to make judgment on that, but we are here to do what we are required to do through the law that's set by the state. And I'm sure that there'll be many who will have the views around that. The one thing I would ask the community is to please not take out any aggression or disappointment, if that happens to be your position, on the staff working at these venues. Ultimately, they all, like all of us, have to work within the legal framework that the government have put upon us. So please be kind to people around you. The fact that we're actually able to open up a lot of these facilities is fantastic. We've all been missing being able to do a lot of these activities and indeed to catch up with family and friends, which over the next few weeks I think is quite exciting for many of us, that we're going to be able to see people we haven't been able to see, to do things we haven't been able to do. I must admit I haven't missed not going to the gym, because I probably haven't been in the gym for about 4 years, but there'll be many who'll be actually appreciating going to these venues. But as I say, as a result from the 80% vaccination trigger on or before 5th November, it will be allowing entry only to fully vaccinated people at council-operated public facilities. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of information going out through our channels as the motion that we've just put up talks to. Thank you. Oh, we've lost the Mayor again. No, he's the CEO.
That's right, the Mayor.
Mayor, may I make a comment as well, please?
Beg pardon, the Mayor's now the Mayor and the CEO is back being the CEO.
Mayor, could I make a comment to follow up from Councillor Rossetti?
Please do, Councillor Bai.
Thanks, Mayor. Look, I'd like to commend what Councillor Rossetti just said, but also add, our businesses have been doing it very tough through COVID. This is a government mandate. If you are not vaccinated, you can't attend some business houses as well. Please treat those business houses with respect. It is a government mandate. They have been doing it tough through COVID and they have struggled a bit. We need to support them as much as possible. So please don't take your aggression out, if that is the case, on the business houses, because they do need the patrons they can get. Thanks, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor Boyd. Look, Councillor Crosley, did you want to make a comment?
Just a quick comment. The best way to help the businesses and to access our facilities is to make sure that you get your vaccination. You know, it's the single most important thing you can do for your community, for your business, for your family and for yourself. So I was a kids nurse in the 70s and I used to deal with children that had severe mumps, meningitis, and would end up with some brain damage, a whooping cough, and they would have severe lung problems for the rest of their lives. Vaccination is one of the most single important things and health leap forward that we've made, and it's tremendous that we've got choices of a whole variety of vaccinations that we can go along and for free get that coverage. So the best thing we can all do, I've done it, and so I really encourage everybody to get vaccinated.
Indeed. Thank you, yeah. Councillor Crosley. Yes, Councillor Ripper.
Yeah, I'd like to endorse Councillor Rossetti, Bai and Crosley, and that there are those who medically are not able to. They will seek out their GP to organise a certificate. So we respect those people, but I just want to endorse our three councillors that if you can, please do it. I was born back in times of tuberculosis and a mother that had that, so we were inoculated, and please just look back into your families and see what they put up with, which a lot of people may have lost people early in life because of these diseases. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you, councillors. And look, I'd just like to make a very quick comment. I did hear this morning that something like 90, I think it might have been 94% of people in the Shire who are eligible had had a first dose of vaccine, and over 70% had had a second. So I'd just like to thank all those people in the Shire who have been vaccinated, either first, second, or double dosed. And yes, I'd support the comments that in fact the only way that we can proceed is to be vaccinated. And with those other comments you've made, look, I think, you know, I'm in Rotary, and Rotary, working with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, have just about helped to eliminate polio in all but 2 countries, I think, in the world, which is a debilitating disease. And how have we done that? And how have we managed to eradicate, or almost eradicate, a lot of other disease? Is to get vaccinated. So, yep, and please, yes, anyone who has to go into a building and even any business, don't take it out on the people working for council or the small business people who are now asking to see your vaccination certificate, because they're only doing their job and doing what they've been told to do by the state government, and that's for the benefit of their workers and also their other customers. So, yep, it's just part of the times we're living in, and we have to work together to move forward. So thanks everyone for your comments, and I think I think we'll move on to the next item of business if everyone's happy. So the next item on the agenda is notices of motion, of which we haven't got any. After that, we've got receiving of petitions. There are no current petitions. Next, there's invited addresses, presentations or acknowledgements, which I'm not aware that there are any tonight. Also, questions on notice. I don't have any questions on notice. Then moving on to the next item is item 10, there's Mayor and Councillors report, and there is a recommendation, item 10.1. So
I'm happy to move that the Mayor and Councillors report be noted.
Well, thank you, Councillor Rossetti. Is there a seconder? Councillor Crosley. Any opposition to the adoption of that recommendation? If not, I'll declare it carried. Would you? Yes, Councillor Rossetti.
Thank you. No, just there's not. Again, most of the meetings are, or many of the meetings are online. Looking forward to getting together face to face with a lot of the groups. Very excited though with the art gallery being mentioned in there. If people haven't gotten a chance to have the Archibald Prize, and I can see the beautiful photograph behind Councillor Crossley. It really is worth popping in there. I've been in there twice. I think I might go and pay every time. But looking forward to going in again. It really is. We're so lucky to have it here, and I encourage people to go and wander in. It's only here till 21st of November. It's the only place in Victoria to go and see it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor Rossetti. The next item on the agenda is Delegates Reports, and I don't believe we have any Delegates Reports. Perhaps and just before we move on, look, I notice Councillor Mackenzie, I see you joined us short little while ago, so thank you, Councillor Mackenzie, and I can see and hear you. I assume you can see and hear me all right?
I can hear and see you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for going on that important mission.
And all technical issues have now been rectified, Mayor.
Yep. Well, I hope so. I hope you can all hear me, and at least my computer seems to be working at the moment, so that's good. I'm trying to not touch any buttons to tempt fate here. So, yes, thank you, and thank you for your assistance too, Mr. CEO. Moving on to, the next item on the agenda is item 12, the Chief Executive Officer's report. We do have a recommendation there.
Happy to move that, Mayor. Councillor Bai.
Please proceed, Councillor Bai.
I move that the Chief Executive Officer report be received.
Thank you very much. Is there a seconder for that?
Happy to second, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Rossetti. Is there any opposition to the adoption of that recommendation? No. I'll declare it carried. Councillor Bye.
Oh, thanks, Mayor. It's good to see the CEO out and about. Unfortunately, a lot of it is online with COVID, but hopefully soon we'll be able to do more face-to-face. A couple of things I'll just point out that he did do through that period, the 4th of September to the 1st of October. He did have a meeting with the Victorian School Building Authority, and it's an important meeting. It's about the development of the Sale College campus and whether it stays on 2 separate sites, goes to one site on Guthrie Freight or to a greenfield site. And that is important for the residents of the Wellington Shire. It's a big move. To bring both campuses onto one would be a fantastic result. So we need to keep pushing that issue. He also met with the Committee for Wellington representatives to discuss the Sale, TAFE and Fed Uni. Again, that's another important thing, that the TAFE is getting built. It's so exciting for our kids of the future that they'll be able to access courses a lot easier. And that meeting was to discuss what courses are going to be offered at the 2 different campuses. Thanks, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks very much, Councillor Bye. Moving on to the next item, that is item 12.2, the September 2021 Council Performance Report. There's a recommendation there.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Mackenzie.
Thank you, Mayor. I wish to move that Council receive and note the September 2021 Council Performance Report as attached.
Thank you very much. Is there a seconder for that recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Wood. Is there any opposition to the adoption of that recommendation? If not, I'll declare it carried. Councillor Mackenzie.
Thank you, Mayor. Within a month, what Council achieves is a huge acknowledgement to the hard-working and passionate employees of Council that every day come to work to build a better Wellington for their community. September was no different, and while I could talk for hours about the different achievements, I wish to take this opportunity to highlight the following. Contracts awarded during September. York Street Revitalisation Project, which includes a Foster Street, McAllister Street and Stawell Street to Raglan Street, which was jointly funded by the Shire and Federal Government. Accra Energy Indoor Pool Complex Redevelopment Detailed Design. This contract is the next stage of the plan to redevelop the complex, which commenced in April 2020. Detailed planning will be progressed to support an external funding application to enable the project to be completed. Excuse me, sorry. My notes went a bit awry here. Apologies for a second. Then we came down to awarding the Pound Street East widening works, again funded by the Federal Government. This project will be to widen 2 sections of Pound Road East, which is a southern connection for Victoria's over-dimensional Route 6, a key transport route for both regional and interstate freight networks. The Maffra Tennis Court Club Pavilion redevelopment, funding secured from the Latrobe Valley Authority. The project involves demolishing the old swimming club room refurbishment and the extending of amenities building that will provide new access amenities, meeting rooms, kitchen, kiosk and outdoor decking, along with a new accessible entry and additional on-street accessible parking. Works commenced. The Yarram Warmer Pool project was commenced in the month of September. The Stevenson Park Pavilion works commenced, which will include the demolition of the existing change rooms for the baseball and reconstruction of new facilities in a female-friendly and disability-accessible layout, all on a single level, providing better access and linkage to the various users. Works progressing. The Sale Oval redevelopment. With the completion of the football season, the Sale Oval redevelopment has commenced, including modifications to the past Players Hill, including new toilet facilities, accessible pathways, and also including the works and constructions of new netball change rooms and the construction of a new netball half court. Overall, there is other things like community ownership of sporting facilities discussed and resolved during the month of September, high-level maintenance response, quick response grants. And Mayor, until I became a councillor, it was very easy to think of council as a provider of garbage collections, road maintenance and parks and gardens. However, they do much, much more. And as stated earlier everyday council staff come to work to make Wellington every day better, and thank them for their contribution. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor McKenzie. We'll move on to the next item of business, and that is the Assembly of Councillors, item 13.1.
Happy to move that, Mayor. Councillor Bye.
Please proceed, Councillor Bye.
I move that Council note and receive the attached Assembly of Council records for the period 27th of September 2021 to the 10th of October 2021.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that recommendation? I think Councillor Marr, I think you got there first. Thank you, Councillor Marr. Is there any opposition to the adoption of that recommendation? If not, I'll declare it carried. Councillor Bye.
Yeah, nothing to add there, Mayor.
No, thank you very much, Councillor Bye. The next item is item 13.2, is the Audit and Risk Committee minutes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor McKenzie. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mayor. I wish to move that Council receive and note the minutes in brief of the Audit and Risk Committee dated the 16th of September 2021, attachment 13.21, and the confidential attachment Audit and Risk Committee minutes of the 9th of September 2021, attachment 13.23 and point 2 as read.
Thank you, Councillor McKenzie. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Wood, thank you. Is there any opposition to the adoption of that recommendation? If not, I'll declare it carried. Councillor McKenzie.
Thank you, Mayor. On September 16, an extraordinary meeting was held with the Audit and Risk Committee, external auditors and council management to consider the draft financial and performance statements for the year ending the 30th of June 2021. At this meeting, the committee endorsed council with its in-principle agreement to sign the draft financial and performance statements subject to finalisation by the Auditor General or their agents. The statements were duly signed by the CEO and councillors represented on the Audit and Risk Committee and in accordance with all local government governance. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor McKenzie. Do I have a seconder?
Councillor Wood.
Hang on. Yeah, wait a second. I've lost my chain of thought.
You wanted a seconder for the motion. And
I need a seconder to this motion, don't I? All right.
13.3, we're up to, Mayor.
13. Thank you, Mr. CEO. I think it's been a long day.
Over it's 2021.
Oh, sorry, 13.3. So yes, that's the biennial Audit and Risk Committee update. So, Councillor, start again. Yes, there's someone to move that.
Yeah, yes. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor McKenzie, please proceed.
It's been a long day. Thank you, Mayor. I wish to move that Council receive the biannual report on the Audit and Risk Committee's activities, findings and recommendations for the period April 2021 to September 21 as attached.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that recommendation?
I'm happy to second that, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Marr. Is there any opposition to the adoption of that recommendation? No, if not, happy to declare it carried. Councillor McKenzie.
Thank you, Mayor. The Audit and Risk Committee's objective is to provide appropriate independent advice and recommendations to Council on matters relevant to the committee's charter to support Council. The committee is required to prepare a biannual audit and risk report, describes its activities and includes its findings and recommendations. A copy of this report is provided to the CEO for tabling at the next Council meeting. The Chairman of the committee reports biannually to Council on the following matters: a summary of the work of the committee performed to discharge its responsibilities, a summary of the Council's progress in addressing and the findings and recommendations made Apologies to everyone.
That's quite all right.
A summary of the Council's progress in addressing the findings and recommendations made in internal, external and parliamentary committee reports, an overall assessment of the Council's risk, control and compliance framework, including details of any significant emerging risks or legislative changes impacting Council, and a summary of the committee's performance review on an annual basis. committee meetings. The committee met 3 times during the reporting period on 26th of May, 9th of September and 16th of September. A quorum is 3 with a minimum of 2 independent members. A quorum of councillors and independent members was achieved on every occasion of the meetings. The General Manager Corporate Services and Manager Corporate Finance attended all committee meetings. The CEO attended the meetings on the 9th of September and 16th of September. Other management representatives attended as required to present reports to the committee and minuted accordingly. All audit issues were identified, are risk rated, and recommendations are assigned to the responsible officers and tracked in the audit plan module within Council's reporting software. Some of the highlights on, of the highlight of the April to September 2021 of the committee were: they reviewed the findings of the Varga reports on sexual harassment in the workplace, reviewed various council policies that are considered strategic in nature. They continued the development of the risk framework, reviewed the strategic internal audit plan, reviewed the audit and council's OH&S management system by MelSafe, received an update on the implementation of the Gender Equality Act 2020, reviewed council's response to the Ombudsman's report, investigation into how local councils respond to ratepayers in financial hardship, reviewed an update on the Protective Data Security Plan Insights report, reviewed the evaluation of committee performance, and reviewed a proposal for the consolidation of data centres and network operation management with the East Gippsland Shire Council. An Audit and Risk Committee's work will always be evolutionary, and as a member representing Council, I look forward to working with the senior management of Council who have always been open and transparent in making our government and that of the councils the best it can be. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor McKenzie. Moving on to the next item is 13.4, is the adoption of reviewed instruments of delegation, appointments and authorisations. Someone to move the recommendation there. Councillor Crosley.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council 1 revoke the previous instruments of appointment, authorisation and delegation made at 2, and 2 approve and adopt the revised instruments of appointment, authorisation and delegation attached as required under S11(7) of the Local Government Act 2020.
Thank you very much. Can I have a seconder for that recommendation, please? Councillor Wood. Is there any opposition to the adoption of the recommendation? If not, I'm happy to declare that carried. Councillor Crosley.
Thank you, Mayor. We're required under the Act to review the previous instruments of appointment and authorisation and delegation, and it's really important that we do this. We've got the responsibility of various officers and CEOs, a bit like the the building inspector and the health inspector. They've got those authorities. Contracts up to a certain value for the CEO. So each year we had to do it in the first year from the election, and so this is what it's been done. There's been some alterations under the Act that we need to meet, and some adjustments and improvements in wording. So they're highlighted in the attached document, and I don't think it's really scintillating reading, but it's a very important component for the smooth running of this council, that this authorisation, delegations and various powers are bestowed upon the officers to do their work.
Yep. Okay, thank you, Councillor Crosley. The next item is 13.5, is the adoption of several very important documents, the 2031 Wellington Community Vision, the Council Plan 21-25, Finance Plan 21-22 to 2030-31, and the Asset Plan for 2021-25. There is a recommendation there. Thank you. Councillor Crosley, please proceed.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council adopt the following versions and plans which have been developed under Section 88 90, 91 and 92 of the Local Government Act 2020. 1. The Wellington 2031 Community Vision as attached. Council Plan 2021 to 25 as attached. Financial Plan 2021-22 to 2030-31 as attached. And Asset Plan 2021 to 25 as attached.
Thank you, Councillor Crosley. Councillor, was that you seconding that, Councillor Marr? Thank you very much. Is there any opposition to the adoption of that recommendation? If not, I'm very happy to declare that carried. Councillor Crosley.
Thank you, Mayor. Really, these are the key documents for this council for the next 4 years in some of them, but also with the financial it's leading into for the next 10 years. You could probably break it down into the community's vision of what they want to see happen and the dream of Wellington. The council plan is how we're going to make that happen and how we're going to be measured and how the community can measure us to see whether we're meeting that vision. The financial plan is how we're going to pay for it all. And the asset plan is how we're going to manage those facilities. So it's really a community-driven plan. It's been, it's I think the single most important thing we do as new councillors is develop this plan for our community, but it's not just our plan. There's been a huge amount of community engagement, and I just think it's both congratulations to the community and to the teams and officers involved. With all that was going on, this busy time where people were thinking of all sorts of other things, to have that much engagement of, over 1,000 members provided feedback. They were engaged in the Your Wellington, Your Say. There was two stages of engagement when we could. We went out onto the streets and met the people and got their ideas on the classic butcher's paper. But every system of trying to engage with our community, and the community responded to give us the feedback that has gone into these important documents. And we've really, out of that engagement, there were emerging opportunities and priorities, and one was the climate change, which can both be an emerging threat but also an opportunity with new energy. And that leads us to two, which is the economy in transition. And there's lots of opportunities that are in Wellington, so I'm feeling quite excited about that. 3, the partnering with Gunai Kerno. 4, sustainable population growth and housing choice, which has really become evident now. There's been the sort of the tree change or the escape from the metropolitan into the regions, when people have actually discovered that living in the regions is a fantastic thing to do. So we really need to make sure that we've got enough of various housing stock to enable all communities' needs to be met there. And 5, better access to key services. That's the services we provide and the services that other agencies provide. And so we need to lobby and seek support for those services for our community. So, as I say, these are the key documents. It's what we spend your money on. It's where we see our focus, and you'll notice that in all of the council documents and for the meeting agenda, you'll see where it refers to the council plan and how each recommendation and each resolution is addressed in that plan. So it really is the guiding documents for what we do as a council. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well said, Councillor Crosley. All these documents are very important for our direction over the next 4 years, and I thank all the people that have made input. I think we've had very good community response to the particularly the council plan, and it's going to be good working with the council's CMT to implement these plans in the next few years. The next item on the agenda is the Port of Sale Masterplan review. Now, I understand that we have a couple of people who would like to address the council on this item. Is that correct, Mr CEO?
Yes, Mayor. We've got Alison Yanez, and I believe we've got Emma Field as well. So I'll just admit Alison first, Mayor.
All right. Item, is that correct, Mr CEO?
Yes, Mayor. We've got Alison Yanez, and I believe we've got Emma Field as well. So I'll just admit Alison first.
All right. I think my computer glitches are starting to rub off on you, Mr. CEO.
Mr. CEO. Yes, Mayor. We've got Alison Yanez, and I believe we've got Emma Field as well. Sorry, apologies, Mayor. Can I just ask everyone to mute if you're not already on mute?
I think my computer glitches are starting to rub off on you, Mr. CEO. Oops.
Is this Back to the Future, Mr. CEO?
Bear with us, Mayor.
I'm sorry, Alison. We seem to be having some audio issues.
Can you hear us, Alison?
We'd also be listening perhaps to the broadcast that is delayed, and that might be what we're hearing. Alison, if you've got the broadcast going there, could you please turn it off?
Wave to her. See if you can wave to her. Can she see us?
That's okay.
Audio issues.
Can you hear us, Alison?
I can.
Alison, can you turn the speaker off, Alison? Can you turn the live streaming off?
Wave to her. See if you can wave to her. Can she see us?
That's okay. Is it on my side? Sorry.
Yes, Alison, could you turn off the streaming of the council? Can you turn the speaker off? Can you mute it?
Is that better?
Yeah,
Right.
okay. Look, sorry about that, Alison.
No, that was my mistake.
Welcome.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's quite all right. So, welcome to the council meeting, Alison, and thank you for your interest in coming along tonight. Now, of course, this is the issue of the Port of Sale Master Plan, and we have just reached that item, obviously, on the agenda, and I'll allow you to have your 3 minutes to talk to council on this plan. So it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Stevens. So good evening, everybody. Mayor Stevens, councillors of Wellington Shire Council, ladies and gentlemen. So I wanted to start by acknowledgement. So in the spirit of reconciliation, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today, the Gunai-Kurnai people, and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Alison Yanez, and I have a Master's in Museum Studies and Cultural Heritage Studies. I am an active member of the volunteer-managed Sale Historical Society, and I'm Assistant Curator at the Sale Historical Museum. I recently team-managed and curated the Leslie's exhibition at the museum, and I initiated this to coincide with the Archibald Prize. I encourage you all to visit the Archibald Prize and the museum as well, as there's a strong link there. Further, I was Education Coordinator at the Gippsland Art Gallery. I am a qualified primary and secondary teacher specialising in history and art, and I am an emerging artist. So I'm giving you a summary of my experience and credentials to give you an idea of the passion that I have for the arts and culture in that context. So the proposed master plan for the Port of Sale is a tremendous opportunity for our town. And I believe the new development at the Port of Sale needs to have at its core community relevance. I address you today to strongly suggest the new cultural hub at the Port of Sale needs a museum. So please consider the following and my reasons for that. A museum can showcase our town and educate our community, creating strong social and cultural capital. People can cooperatively network together at museums, and by providing these with opportunities to get involved through exciting projects. Museums make education accessible to absolutely everybody and provide a communal conversation where one feels safe, a place to be welcomed, comfortable and liberated. Museums share stories. A new museum at the Port of Sale could be an extension of the current, past and future stories, such as the stories told on the Rubina, They can be boating and shipping stories, Indigenous stories, artist stories, young youth stories. It can be a place for discovery, storytelling, and endless possibilities for the future of museums and made by the people of today. Museums can break down barriers and initiate important conversations, such as our journey of reconciliation with First Nations peoples. Museums are uniquely positioned in our world for the ability to achieve this very big, wondrous task. Finally, museums are precious healing agents. They are a place of recovery and a place of reflection. Especially this is needed during COVID times without uncertainty at the moment. Museums are a refuge and a place to rest. The current heritage interpretation at the Port of Sale needs a makeover. Only just today, when I walked through this morning, I noticed visitors in the area having to wipe the debris of old labels and eventually exit the Heritage Walk because they were unable to read the text on the Pioneer Heritage Walk trail. These old interpretive signs can be transformed into engaging learning opportunities or exhibitions at a new museum. People are curious. We need to feed this curiosity with a museum of relevance to our community. As John Leslie once said in my research at the Sale Museum, Sale can be the arts and cultural capital of Gippsland, if not the world. John Leslie's aims were high, but I believe a museum at the Port of Sale is the vital link in the art and culture chain of Sale. A new museum can transform lives, provide knowledge, skills and education to our community. Please consider a museum as the development of our community's cultural capital can only increase in strength as a result of this. Thank you for your time this evening, and I look forward to watching and hopefully being involved in this exciting project.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Alison, for your obvious passion and interest in the subject, and thank you for your presentation this evening. All the very best.
Thank you very much.
Good.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. All right.
And yes, Mayor, and we've also got, I think it's Emma Field, who's representing the Gippsland Water Dragons. I'll just admit her, and hopefully, Mayor, I think the issue was with Alison, she was also streaming streaming the... We're all struggling.
I think it's a comedy show this evening, Mr. CEO, but let's not go there. All right. So we've got, yes, all right. So Emma's just coming in. Is that you, Emma?
Yep, it's me. Can you hear me?
Lovely. Sure can, Emma. I'll hand you over. We've got you. I'll hand you over to Mayor Stevens, Emma.
Perfect. Emma. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the meeting this evening, and thank you for your interest in presenting to Council. So I'll hand over to you, and you have your 3 minutes to address the Council. Thank you. Go ahead.
Great, thanks. Good afternoon. My name's Emma Field. I'm a member of the Sale-based Gippsland Water Dragon Boat Club, and I want to address the Port of Sale Masterplan review. I too acknowledge the traditional owners, the Gunai Kunai people, the traditional owners of the lakes and rivers on which we paddle. Our President, Heather Watts, planned to address the meeting today, but she's actually helping oversee our new junior paddler program, which starts today. If you were in your meeting room today, you'll be able to look out at the beautiful Port of Sale, and you might just catch a glimpse of her and her kids having a great old time. Our club was formed in November last year. That's when I personally joined. I was new to the sport, but 15 members of the club are experienced paddlers, and they were with the Bairnsdale Club, which has been around for more than a decade. So this sport is not new to the region. In the past year, despite COVID lockdowns, the club has grown to 57 members, and we think this growth will continue. I was a learner at the start of the year, but despite this, I competed in one of the 2 regattas at the club this year, which is at the more competitive end of the sport, and I really loved it. The technique is really easy to pick up, and it's a sport that's really accessible to all ages and abilities. We've got one member aged 82, we have cancer survivors, we have people with disability among our members. I can't say the same can be said about footy, netball, soccer and hockey, which I love, but once your knees and ankles and other ageing sets in, it's usually pretty hard to play those sports when you're kind of hit over 50. So as the Wellington Shire looks into the future, we think you need a plan for more sports and activities that suits the need of older and more diverse community. We currently paddle 4 times a week from the Port of Sale West Bank boat ramp, and we have absolutely nowhere in town to store our 3 boats or the considerable equipment we need, such as paddles and life jackets. At the moment, the boats stay in the backyards of some of our members, which is entirely unsuitable, it's unsustainable, and it could severely limit our club's potential. Our 3 boats are worth thousands of dollars, and at the moment they're kept uncovered. They're kept, somebody has to take responsibility for driving those boats in every week from someone's backyard so that we can train. So our major concerns with the master plan. There's currently no short-term or medium plan to help us find a place for our club and our equipment. The master plan proposes to integrate our club with the rowing club and Sunday markets and other clubs on the east side of the port, but this has potential safety and traffic issues. Our boats need to be launched via the boat ramp on the west side of the port, which is an area that's extremely underutilised. If our boats are stored on the east side, getting them over to the boat ramp 8 times a week is going to cause major issue on the roads from one side to the other. The strip of land on the east near the current rowing shed is narrow and will hardly accommodate parking for our 50 members. We think it will also cause all sorts of problems during the regular Sunday markets when we'll want to access our boats amongst kids, family, vendors, etc. We understand the council wants to use the west side of the port for events such as a music festival, but we feel a non-permanent shed in the corner of this area won't pose a problem to this. We could accommodate a few lost days of paddling to the festival goers, and surely the council won't preference a few festival goers visiting the site once a year over our local rate-paying members who are there 4 times a week. Sale is absolutely blessed with waterways, and this sport is about the most suited to the region and our natural environment as you can get, so we hope we can work together to help our sport grow. I have a couple of questions to wrap up on our presentations for council. What is your plan to encourage water-based clubs like us to thrive in the future, other than the unfunded plan with no timeline to integrate us all together in a building on the East Bank? And why won't the council consider a non-permanent shed structure on the West Bank that could help us store our equipment while the details of the master plan and the funding are worked out? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. And yes, it's very pleasing to see that you've got a club that caters for a whole range of ages. Even I fit into that age range, Gemma. So that's
well. Come on down. Come and join us. Have a paddle.
I was invited. I'm not sure if I'd be a paddler. I think I might be fall out, be an anchor. But
no, it's very, very hard to tick our boats over. I can tell you.
And I think we take your questions on notice, but I mean, I for once, and I can't speak for the council, feel that we would be happy to work with the Dragon Boat Club and see what we can do to assist you going into the future. So thank you for your presentation.
Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
And for coming along. And yes, all the very best to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers. All right. So that meets that's the presenters, Mr. CEO.
Yes, that's it, Mayor.
Thank you very much. So now we are obviously still on item 14.1. Now there is a series of recommendations there, councillors. Councillor Marr, but yes,
happy
please
to move
proceed.
that, Mayor. Okay, thank you. I move that Council 1 consider the submissions received in response to the draft Port of Sale Master Plan review as exhibited between the 15th of March and 19th of April 2021 and the recommended staff changes as per attachment 1. And 2, adopt the Port of Sale Masterplan Review, September 2021, attachment 2, as amended by the recommended changes in attachment 1, including supporting the retention of the existing boat slipway. And 3, to endorse the establishment of a Port of Sale Precinct steering group, including appointing 2 councillor representatives, being Councillors Crosley and By, to participate on the steering group as recommended in the Port of Sale Master Plan Review, September 2021. And 4, endorse the completion of the design and construction of the moorings upgrade works along the West Bank in line with the master plan and adopted budget, including the provision of a new walkway, finger jetties and seawall.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that recommendation? Councillor By, thank you. Is there any opposition to the adoption of those recommendations? If not, I'll declare them carried. Councillor Marr.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. The Port of Sale, as we all know, the precinct is a key location which encompasses strategic sites that include the former school sites, the former police station site and the TAFE site, as well as the North, East and West Banks. This review has been built upon earlier master planning work and has involved extensive stakeholder and community engagement. Feedback to the public exhibit was received with some changes made as a result, and that can be seen as per attachment 1, where the information is provided from those providing feedback. There have been several councillor workshops as well, including a site visit to the Port Precinct, as well as discussions that were undertaken with the Sale Boat Club. We can all appreciate that the Western Bank has an important role to play, and the proposed future upgrades will ensure that the key underlying principles of the master plan will continue to be met, particularly connectivity that will activate the green space, ensuring it's attractive to all users. The proposed key elements include 3 new public spaces, 2 pedestrian and cycling bridges, a mixed-use development recommendation for the former school sites, and retaining of the existing slipway. Furthermore, it's important to note that cultural heritage is a recognised theme within the plan. However, we need to understand that this is a master plan, a long-term proposal that currently has no funding commitments at this stage. However, I know that I speak on behalf of all councillors that moving forward into the future, that we all look forward to the developments that this plan will allow to occur. And I'm sure in years to come, we'll all be able to look back and know that we were able to create the foundations of creating a really well-used space that our community will enjoy. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor Marr. The next item on the agenda is item 14.2, is the adoption of the Domestic Animal Plan 2021. There's recommendations there.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Ripper, please proceed.
Thank you. I'd like to move that 1, adopt the Domestic Animal Management Plan 2021 to 2025 as attached. 2, make the Domestic Animal Management Plan 2021 to 2025 available for public inspection on Councillors' website. And 3, submit the Domestic Animal Management Plan 2021 to 25 to the Secretary of the Animal Welfare Victoria.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Wood, thank you very much. Is there any opposition to the adoption of those recommendations? If not, I declare them carried. Councillor Ripper.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to make a note of the paragraph 2, inspection on Council's website. I'd also just like to let the public know that we still have some people who have domestic animals and who may wish to peruse this document, that they can go A, to their library, B, to a service centre in Yarramal or Sale, or C, phone the service centre in Yarramal or Sale, and they will be able to get a copy sent to them. We must never forget, not everyone is on a electronic device. I just want to point that out. Thank you. Now, a little bit of background. On the 9th of August 2021, the draft Domestic Animal Management Plan was released for public consultation via the Your Wellington, Your Say website. Once again, website. I'm sure it was available and it was in the paper, etc., etc. The plan was published in local newspapers there and on the public notice pages of council websites. So it was available electronically and in the newspaper. Public submissions were invited in the form of a brief survey. Council received 352 survey feedback submissions to the plan. And thank you to the general public for those submissions. The majority of survey respondents supported the proposed induction of a cat curfew, changes to the leash laws and the introduction of designated off-leash areas. Now, Wellington Shire Council recognises that pet ownership has been positive benefits for the community, especially during COVID. I'm sure people who had already had dogs or cats were comforted by these domestic animals through a trying time, and it's still a trying time. Also, I want to mention that there would have been some community members who decided to get a cat or a dog because it was a good idea for company. And that's a very, very responsible position to take. So responsible pet ownership makes a valuable contribution to the community's wellbeing and adds to social connectivity. This is more pronounced with children and the elderly, where pets play a more prominent part in their lives. They provide opportunities for active pursuits, companionship to those who may feel lonely or isolated, and independence for those with a disability or illness. The issue of balancing pet ownership and the rights of the individual to enjoy the environment is a challenge. The adequate control of animals can often be a source of conflict between neighbours, particularly in the urban areas. The Domestic Animal Act 1994 regulates domestic animal management within Victoria and requires every council in the state to have in place a plan to manage domestic animals with the Domestic Animal Management, or the DAM plan. Balancing pet ownership and the numerous benefits that it brings with the rights of individuals to enjoy the environment is a constant challenge. And that's our rangers have a constant challenge. Consideration has been given both to pet owners and those who do not own pets in developing the plan. Outline program services and strategies which the council intends to pursue in its municipal district is promote and encourage the responsible ownership of cats and dogs. To ensure that people comply with this Act, the regulations and any related legislation. So if those who have got animals haven't had a read of that, it might be just worthwhile to have a look at and see what your responsibilities as a pet owner are. To minimise the risk of attacks by dogs on people and animals. To address an overpopulation of high euthanasia rates for dogs and cats, to encourage the registration and identification of dogs and cats. This is another thing that rangers are continually using up time, more so cats than dogs, I've been told. To minimise the potential for dogs and cats to create a nuisance. To effectively identify all dangerous dogs, menacing dogs and restricted breed dogs in the district, to ensure that those dogs are kept in compliance with the Act and the regulations. And I might have some statistics. Wellington Shire has 16,082 households in the Shire, approximately. It is estimated that 40% of households own one or more dogs at an average of 1.3 dogs per household. and 27% of households own one or more cats at the average of 1.4 cats per household. So with these figures in mind, it is estimated that there are approximately 8,342 dogs, 6,079 cats in the Shire. Sadly, the number of registered cats in the Shire is significantly less than the estimated population. So I'd recommend that those who have domestic animals possibly to go online and get a copy, have a read of this to understand the work that's been put into this by our rangers and their supervisors, and also that those who maybe don't have animals but they're finding that there is an issue, so that they know their rights and everyone can join together and we can have animals with neighbours, animals around, and everyone is looking after their animals as they should. Thank you very much, Mayor and councillors.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor Ripper. No, that's one of your passions. Item 14.3 is the August 2021 planning decisions.
I'm happy to move that, Mayor.
Please proceed, Councillor Marr.
I move that Council note the report on recent planning permit trends and planning application determinations between the 1st of August and 31st of August 2021.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
Happy to second that, Mayor.
Thanks very much, Councillor Bye. Is there any opposition to the adoption of that recommendation? If not, I'll declare it carried. Councillor Marr.
Well, thanks, Mayor. 62 decisions have been made, particularly with strong interest continuing along the coastal and northern wards. It's important to note that all planning decisions have been issued. That's after due consideration of the council policy, heritage policy, and the planning policy framework in our Wellington planning scheme. Looking at the trends, the estimated value of works are still doing well, particularly when looked at the averages of other Gippsland councils. And once again, we say well done to our planning team, as decisions issued are still well above the rural regional averages. So good on them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Marr. The next item on the agenda is item 15.1, Asphalt Resheeting Program.
Happy to move that, Mayor. Councillor Bye.
Please proceed, Councillor Bye.
I move that 1, Council adopt the recommendations contained in the attached confidential tender evaluation report of the council meeting agenda for contract 2022-039, asphalt resheeting of urban streets, and item 2 as read.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Mackenzie. Is there any opposition to the adoption of the recommendations? If not, I'll declare them carried. And I'm pleased to advise and announce that the successful tenderer for this contract is Cranes Asphalting and Bitumen Sealing Proprietary Limited. Councillor Bye.
Thanks, Mayor. This is an annual program of asphalt resheeting. If you ask the average ratepayer, they would all love asphalt on their roads. Kids can go out there, it's smooth, you can ride your bike, your skateboard, it's fantastic. We just don't do it for any streets. Most of the streets we do it on when we resheet are council courts. You'll find the garbage truck often will go around, and over a long period of time, the road starts to break up a bit, so we need to fix the road. Used to not do asphalting as much, but over the years, asphalting, the price has come down. It's an amazing product. It lasts up to 25 years compared to your old-fashioned stone or spray sealing, which has a life of 8 to 15 years. So we are able now with budget and some grants that come through that we can actually resheet the roads with asphalt, which is a much better result for the community. Thanks, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor Bye. The next item on the agenda is item 15.2, the Maffra Recreation Reserve Netball Court Redevelopment, and the recommendations there.
I'm happy to move that one, Mr Mayor.
Yeah, please proceed, Councillor Tatterson.
I move 1, that Council adopt the recommendations contained in the attached confidential tender evaluation report of the council meeting of contract 2022-044. Maffra Rec Reserve Netball Court redevelopment, and item 2 is read.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that recommendations?
Councillor Ripper.
Oh, Councillor Ripper. Thank you, Councillor Ripper. Is there any opposition to the adoption of those recommendations? If not, I'll declare them carried. And I'm pleased to announce that the successful tenderer for this contract is Clint Kelly Excavations Proprietary Limited. Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. What a great project this will be, bringing the netball courts over at the Maffra Rec Reserve up to the current standard guidelines for Netball Victoria. The club is a great club, and they've competed really well across the life of football netball clubs. They're very prominent across Gippsland, and they continue to do really well. I've had a reasonable involvement. Both my children have played netball and football over at Maffra, and it's great to see that their facilities will now be upgraded so that they can be comparable with the likes of the other clubs around that Gippsland League. So congratulations to the netballers and to the leadership of the Maffra Football Netball Club on getting this project up.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor Tatterson. Item 15.3 is the Briagolong Recreation Reserve Tennis Court redevelopment.
Thank you, Mayor.
Please proceed, Councillor Ripper.
I'd like to move that Council adopt the recommendations contained in the attached confidential tender evaluation report of the Council meeting agenda for contract 2022-042 Briagolong Recreation Reserve Court redevelopment, and 2, the information contained in the confidential attachment contract 2022-042 Briagolong Rec Reserve Tennis Court redevelopment and design, confidential under section 3.1, confidential information of the Local Government Act 2020 by the General Manager, Build and Natural Environment of 5 October 2021, because it relates to the following grounds. G, private commercial information being information provided by a business, commercial or financial undertaking that, if released, would unreasonably expose the business, commercial or financial undertaking to disadvantage. B, designated confidential information under section 3.1, confidential information of the Local Government Act 2020, except that once this recommendation has been adopted, the name of the successful tenderer can be made public.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that recommendations? Councillor Bai, thank you. Any opposition to the adoption of those recommendations? If not, I'll declare them carried. I'm very pleased to announce the successful tenderer for this contract is Cranes Asphalting and Bitumen Sealing Proprietary Limited. Councillor Ripper.
Thank you, Mayor. In my previous council time ending last year and restarting in May this year, I was the councillor representative for the Briagolong Rec Reserve for approximately 3 years, and I've seen a lot happen out there in that time, a lot of positive outcomes that are visual. You can actually go out there, touch things, see things. Now, this makes up a wonderful, wonderful recreation reserve by having these tennis courts up to date and 2021-22 up-to-date tennis courts. Now, the actual tennis club committee, amazing the size of Briagolong to what they have to raise, and I'll go through that in a moment, what they have to raise to contribute towards this. In discussions, with them, I said, Councillor Ripper, piece of cake, we'll get that money, not a problem. And this is their attitude at Briagolong. Nothing is an issue. Everyone rolls up their sleeves in the small community and gets on with the job, and it's just wonderful at a area like that the young youth can ride their bikes up there, backhand, forehand, smash on the tennis courts, and the ladies during the day, and of course the ladies and gentlemen during the weekends. So it's great for the community. It's great for social for an area. Now the project is to engage, as we've just engaged, a contractor to design and redevelop the tennis facilities, and the budget's $571,000, and the council revenue is 281,000, 250,000 SRV, female-friendly facilities, and the contribution by the tennis club with raffles and people donating money and raffles and all getting together is $40,000. So a great project, and I can anyone that wants to go for a drive out to Briagolong and just have a look at their rec reserve, manicured lawns. It is. They are so thankful for what the council has contributed to assist them over the years. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah,
and
thank you. Thank you, Councillor Ripper. The next item is 15.4, Road Exchange, Buxtons Road, Stradbroke. Councillor Marr.
I move that pursuant to section 206, including clause 2 of the Schedule 10 and section 207A of the Local Government Act 1989, Council resolves to advertise its intention to undertake a road exchange, be deviating a section of unused government road south of Crown Allotment 4A, section B, parish of Coolangoolan, over the current alignment of Buxtons Road, traversing through Crown Allotment 4A, Section B, parish of Coolangoolan, and 2, Council place the public notice of the proposed road exchange in local newspapers and serve a notice on statutory authorities, and 3, Council appoints Councillors Taddison, By and Stevens, plus Councillor Marr, as an alternative representative to form the Buxtons Road Exchange Committee that is established by Council under Section 223(1)(bi) of the Act to consider written submissions/objections and to hear any persons who in their written submission under Section 223 of the Act have been requested that they be heard in support of the submission objection. And 4, in the event that there are no objections or submissions, Council authorise the Chief Executive Officer to progress the road exchange, including placing a notice in the Victorian Government Gazette.
Thank you, Councillor Marr. Do I have a seconder for that recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Wood. Is there any opposition to the adoption of those recommendations? If not, I'm declaring them carried. Councillor Marr.
Thank you, Mayor. An anomaly in the road and property boundary at the west end of Buxtons Road was brought to Council's attention mid-2020. Investigations that were undertaken discovered that 300 metres of Buxtons Road does cross private property, and historically Buxtons Road has always followed this alignment. Attachment 1 shows a photo highlighting the unused part of Government Road and Buxtons Road, which is running through the private property. Attachment 2 shows the exchange details with the unused Government Road that's going to be closed and deviated, shown in yellow, with the pink highlight the land to be exchanged. DELP have also provided formal consent as per Attachment 3 as delegates for the Minister of Energy, Environment and Climate Change. And lastly, I guess it's important to note that the property owner is in agreement with the process proposed to rectify the historic issue, as they were very much aware that this existed. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor Marr. The next item on the agenda is item 15.5, is the National Park Road Safety Treatments Project.
And I'm happy to move that as well, Mayor, if I may.
Thank you. So please proceed, Councillor Marr.
Thank you. I move that 1, Council notes the majority of the community feedback received regarding the proposed National Park Road Safety Treatment Project, identified as part of Council's 21-22 Capital Works Program, does not support the installation of raised safety platforms. And 2, in considering the community feedback received, Council does not proceed with the proposed National Park Road Safety Treatment Project and authorises the Chief Executive Officer to redirect the available budget to support the planning, design and implementation of the Urban Paths Program. And 3, Council authorise the Chief Executive Officer to write to the Locksport Business and Tourism Association, the Locksport Community Representative Group and the participants who completed the online survey, and to publish an article in the Locksport newsletter to inform them of Council's decision in relation to this matter. And 4, Council notes the requests received to investigate a town-wide 50 km/h speed limit for Locksport, and on this basis authorise the Chief Executive Officer to commence engagement with Regional Roads Victoria regarding this request.
Thank you, Councillor Marr. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Crosley, thank you. Is there any opposition to the adoption of these recommendations? If not, I'll declare them carried. Councillor Marr.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. Look, this is certainly a case whereby the Council has listened to community feedback, and I, for one, certainly commend everyone that has been involved in this process, and that includes councillors, council officers and the Locksport community members. Details of the community consultation and surveys undertaken are detailed within the information background attached to this motion. A key theme from the surveys was certainly the desire to see speed limits within the Locksport township capped with the 50 km/h speed limit. This motion addresses that by having the CEO provide an undertaking that he will commence engagement with Regional Roads Victoria. And although we don't know how that will go, we certainly have our fingers crossed that we will be able to move forward with the desired Locksport community wishes. So thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Councillor Marr. Next item on the agenda is item 15.6, the Footpath Renewals Works Program.
I'm happy to move that, Mr Mayor.
Go ahead, Councillor Tatterson.
I move that Council adopt the recommendations contained in the attached confidential tender evaluation report of the Council meeting agenda for contract 2022-040 Footpath Renewal Works and item 2 as written in the agenda.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Tatterson. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Mackenzie, thank you very much. Is there any opposition to the adoption of those recommendations? If not, I'm pleased to declare them carried. And I'd just like to announce that for this contract, the successful tenderer is Form Plus Concrete Constructions Proprietary Limited. Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd just like to really note the importance of our footpath network for all of our community, and this particular contract I see is repairing or replacing or replenishing footpaths in Dargo, Gormandale, Hayfield, Maffra, Rosedale and Stratford that are in poor condition. So these are a great outcome for those communities to have accessible modern footpaths put back where the old paths have met their time. So these are great things, and it's really important that our footpaths are provided across all our communities.
Thank you very much, Councillor Tatterson. The next item on the agenda is 16.1, Community Assistance Grants, August 2021.
I'm happy to move that, Mayor.
Thank you. Please proceed, Councillor Resheeting.
Thanks, Mayor. I move that Council approves the allocation of Community Assistance Grants August 2021 funds as detailed in Attachment 1, CAG Org 2021 recommendations, and applicants being notified of the outcome of their applications.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Crosley, thank you very much. Is there any opposition to the adoption of the recommendation? If not, I'll declare it carried. Councillor Resheeting.
Thanks, Mayor. We do a couple of funding rounds for these community assistance grants, and they're for not-for-profit community groups. They can apply for anything between $2,000 and $5,000. In this round, we've had 28 successful applications worth $136,204. The great thing about these grants is it's us as council simply helping through the ratepayers' funds, community groups that are doing terrific work in our community. The value to our community is way more than the $2,000 or the $5,000 that these groups collect. So I'd actually encourage community groups, not-for-profits, to actually pitch in for the next round, which is March, because we've got in the budget $341,000 worth of for this scheme, and we've only just used 136. So there's plenty more money there to be gained. And a lot of the groups that are in that list who've been successful in this round are groups that so many people know and love and use, including things like the Hayfield District Vintage Machinery Group, the Port Albert Mechanics Institute, the Maffra Lawn Tennis Club, Stratford-on-Avon Shakespeare Association, Wines of Gippsland, Gippsland Water Dragons, who of course have been presenting to council tonight. So it's really it's a pretty simple process. There's a criteria to apply to, but essentially, if you're a not-for-profit and you're doing good stuff around the community and you need a hand with between $2,000 and $5,000, definitely worth having a look at these grants. They're especially for those groups and those people doing great stuff in our community.
Yep, thank you very much, Councillor Rossetti. The next item on the agenda, 16.2, Council Committees and Committees of Management highlights.
Happy to move that, Mayor.
Please go ahead, Councillor Rossetti.
I move the Council receives a report highlighting activities and achievements of various Council advisory committees and community facilities committees of management for the period July to September 2021.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Bai, thank you very much. Is there any opposition to the adoption of the recommendation? If not, I'm pleased to declare it carried. Councillor Rossetti.
Thanks, Mayor. There's quite a few highlights in here, but the one I wanted to pick up was amazing that Netball is well, they're hoping to play grand finals in the end of this year, but their membership is so strong, they're expected to get 1,000 members, to reach 1,000 members in the new year. And for them to be able to do that through COVID times and the challenges we've had, I think is just extraordinary. And Netball, of course, have gone from strength to strength since they moved from their site, vacated their site where the TAFE is being built, to the new regional sports centre. But it's great to see them working really well in there, and so many other highlights in there. There's too many to mention.
Thank you. Councillor Bai.
Yes, Mayor, just to give you indulge, I'd just like to make one comment on what Councillor Rossetti's read there. Just on the Gordon Street Rec Reserve, I noticed when reading through there that there's two notable people that have now stepped down from the committee. Brian Brown, or Brownie as we affectionately know him as. For anyone, I grew up and Brownie's been on that committee as an institution. He's the mower man, the maintenance man, and he's done so much for that community and looking after that facility for council. And also Pat, she's been a long stay on the committee, and I think we should just commend two great servants to the community. They'll be hard to replace, but I'm sure Brownie and Pat would have someone lined up to hand over the reins to. But I'd just like to thank both of them for their support they've done for the community over the many, many years.
Thank you very much, Councillor Boy. That's quite right. Without dedicated volunteers, we couldn't maintain or run many of our facilities. So thank you for that. Those comments, Councillor Boy. And moving on to item 16.3 is the Wedge Masterplan Advisory Group membership.
I'm having so much fun, Mayor. I'm happy to move that.
Thank you. Please proceed, That's a trifecta for you, Councillor Rossetti. Please proceed.
I move that one councillor appoints a nominated community representative to the Wedge Masterplan Advisory Group, as detailed in the attached confidential report, the Wedge Masterplan Advisory Group membership, and two, the information contained in the confidential attachment, the Wedge Masterplan Advisory Group membership, and designated confidential under Section 3.1 Confidential Information Local Government Act 2020 by the General Manager Community Culture on 30th of 2021, because it relates to the following grounds: after personal information, being information which, if released, would result in the unreasonable disclosure of information about any person or their personal affairs, be designated confidential information under Section 3.1 Confidential Information of the Local Government Act 2020, except that once this recommendation has been adopted, the name of the successful applicants can be made public. Good God.
Well done, Councillor Rossetti. Is there a seconder for that? I think Councillor Rossetti moved that successfully. Councillor Bai, I think you were first. Is there any opposition to the adoption of those recommendations? If not, I declare them carried. It's my pleasure to announce the successful applicant for the committee is Mrs. Tegan Tudor. Councillor Resheeting.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to Tegan, and thank you to the members of that group as we work through what the master plan for the Wedge, which of course over time changes and the needs of the community change, and we're certainly looking at that to see how the Wedge will develop on time. But Mayor, I think that is the last item on our agenda, given I understand there are no gallery comments from...
I don't believe, are there any gallery comments, Mr. CEO?
No, there are none, Mayor.
Thank you very much,
Mayor,
Mr. CEO.
I'd like to acknowledge this is your last meeting and say thank you for your service for your last meeting as Mayor. Sorry, you're not leaving council. But thank you for your service through what's been a very challenging year. I think that we've been dealing with COVID. We've been dealing with earthquakes. We've had floods. We've had storms. We've had power outages of great significance. We've had the passing of a very long-term councillor, Councillor Malcolm Hole. And you've actually been at the helm while we've had a new council inducted, and that has not been without its challenges, but by not being able to meet face-to-face for much of that time, which often the new council is able to sort of get their legs under the table by having conversations with other councillors in and amongst the other meetings. And certainly the way that you've kept the community involved and informed with your very steady nature and steady hand has not gone unnoticed. I believe you're the man for the times, or the person for the times in the chair. And certainly as your deputy, I haven't had to do much because you've been stepping into everything that needs to be done through that time. I understand you've only done 3,000 kilometres in the mayoral car, so we'll get another few years out of the mayoral chariot, which will be good. But I thank you for your year's service. I know, as others around the table know, it is something that takes so much of your time and takes you away from family. So the fact that you've made that sacrifice and served your community through that time is something that we are all very thankful for, and congratulations on a great year.
Oh, thank you. Thanks very much, Councillor Resheeting. Look, I'd just like to close firstly by saying it's been a great honour to be the mayor for this year, and you say it has been an interesting time. I do appreciate the support and from all my council colleagues, and it has been difficult for our new councillors to get up their feet under the table. Well, I think we realise just how important informal interaction face to face is when we've had to live through these times of meeting only virtually. But look, thank you so much for your help and support, councillors. I think we are a very fortunate team. We work well together. And I do appreciate the very collegiate way that we work together. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank my wife Judy for her support during the year. She certainly keeps me on the straight and narrow. And I'd also particularly like to acknowledge Mr. CEO, you and the senior management team and all the staff of the Shire. I think it's you. I mean the team works well together, and all the officers I think work very well with our council, and we're very fortunate for that to be the case. And I think it's been a privilege to be the mayor for this year. Thank you very much. And my very last comment as mayor is to just note that on a sad note, well, it's a sad note for me, but this is, I think, the second last day for our General Manager of Community Culture and our Manager of Emergency Management Planning, Sharon Houlihan. I'd like to congratulate Sharon on her appointment to the role of CEO of the Central Regional Highlands, I think it is, Council in Queensland. It's been a privilege to work with her over the last 5 years Sharon as an outstanding officer, and she will be sadly missed, but I'm sure she will bring great experience and knowledge to her new role as CEO. And I'm sure on behalf of all the council, I wish her every success, and I hope we stay in touch and watch her progression in her new job. So thank you very much, and I think that only remains for me to close this meeting, and wish you all the very best.
Wish to say anything, Mayor?
Pardon?
I think some of the other councillors may have wished to say something.
Oh, so would someone else like to say something? No? Yes, Councillor Bye.
Yeah, look, I'd just like to reiterate, Mayor, you've done a fantastic job this year, and probably the most trying times you would ever want to be a mayor. To chair meetings with technology and go through COVID like we have, and not being able to get face-to-face, I'll take my hat off to you. You've done a fantastic job. It's so hard to do that and to coordinate everyone when you can't bang, what do you call your big stick that you used to use in council meetings?
Gavel.
Yeah, gavel. Yes, you haven't been able to use the gavel.
I know.
But I commend you. You have done a fantastic job in these trying times. Well done.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. All right. Well, we'll everyone have a good evening. What's left of it?
I think Councillor Tatterson has his hand up as well, Mayor.
Oh, Councillor Tatterson. Sorry, Councillor Tatterson. Yes.
Just, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for the welcome that the new councillors got when we came onto the council in such challenging times, and you've certainly made it easier for us to fit in with these challenging meetings. So thank you very much. And, we do note that the mayoral car's only got 3,000 kilometres, but you've worn out 4 phones and 3 computers. So
that's right.
Thank you for your efforts.
Yeah, and I think my current computer almost got replaced tonight by being thrown out the window, but we won't go there, Councillor Tatterson. Okay, well, good night all, and thank you very much. And it's I'll declare the meeting closed.